Welcome to Warhammer 40k 8th edition Battle Report 45, 1500 points, Death Guard versus Tau Empire. This will be the big rulebook, Maelstrom of War mission, Tactical Escalation, and we will be rolling for a random map deployment today. Let's begin by taking a quick look around the board at where each of the objective markers have been placed. Beginning with this 2-foot by 2-foot section, objective marker 6 has been placed up here next to this crater. In this middle 2-foot by 2-foot section, objective marker 1 has been placed right here next to this ruin. In this third 2-foot by 2-foot section, objective marker 2 has been placed right here next to this ruin. On the other side of the board in this 2-foot by 2-foot section, objective marker 5 has been placed up here next to this crater. In this middle 2-foot by 2-foot section, objective marker 3 has been placed down here next to this crater. And finally, in this 2-foot by 2-foot section, objective marker 4 has been placed up here next to this ruin. And now we will roll for the random map deployment, rolling a 5, which is frontline assault. And so on a roll of a 1, 2, or a 3, the Death Guard will begin to deploy along the top edge, and the Tau Empire will deploy along the bottom edge. And on a 4, 5, or 6, the Death Guard will deploy along the bottom edge, and the Tau Empire will deploy along the top edge. And so here's the roll, rolling a 3. So the Death Guard will begin to deploy along the top edge, and the Tau Empire will deploy along the bottom edge. And so on a roll of a 1, 2, or a 3, the Death Guard will begin to deploy first, and on a 4, 5, or 6, the Tau Empire will deploy first. Rolling a 3, so the Death Guard will begin to deploy first. We will be back after the deployment. The deployment is now finished. The Death Guard began to deploy first, and they also finished deploying first, which means that the Death Guard will go first unless the Tau Empire are able to successfully seize the initiative. Let's take a quick look around the board at where each army placed all of their units. Beginning with the Death Guard deployment and going from right to left across the deployment line from the Tau Empire perspective, we have the first squad of 10 Poxwalkers, Plagueburst Crawler number 1, the Warlord, Demon Prince Nurgle, Plagueburst Crawler number 2, the Chaos Land Raider, which has the squad of 7 Plague Marines, Plague Surgeon, and Lord of Contagion embarked inside, the Demon Prince Nurgle with wings, and finally the second squad of 10 Poxwalkers. Moving over to the Tau Empire deployment, we have the first squad of 10 Fire Warriors, Cadre Fireblade number 1, Storm Surge number 1, the first squad of 10 Pathfinders. This squad has the 3 ion rifles. The second squad of 10 Fire Warriors, the Warlord Commander, Cadre Fireblade number 2, Storm Surge number 2, the second squad of 10 Pathfinders, and finally the third squad of 10 Fire Warriors. A reminder that for this battle report, the Death Guard will have access to 9 command points, and the Tau Empire will have access to 8 command points. For a full overview of both armies with all of the war gear that they are bringing, please check out the pregame show, which was released at the beginning of the group. The link for the pregame show will be in the description down below. And because this is the Maelstrom of War mission, Tactical Escalation, the Death Guard will select the tactical objective type Purge for their tactical priority, and the Tau Empire will choose the tactical objective type Annihilation for their tactical priority. And now the Tau Empire will attempt to seize the initiative, and they are looking for 6. And they will successfully seize the initiative. And so let's go into Tau Empire, turn 1. Going into Tau Empire, turn 1, a reminder that the Tau Empire have 8 command points available, and the Death Guard have 9 command points available. At the beginning of the turn, the Tau Empire drew 1 new tactical objective card, and they drew Secure Objective 4. Score 1 victory point if you control Objective Marker 4 at the end of your turn. And Objective Marker 4 is this one right here, currently not being controlled by anyone, but it is near the Death Guard deployment. At the beginning of the turn, the Tau Commander is going to declare Kauyon, and that will affect every single Tau Empire unit, except for this squad of 10 Fire Warriors on this side, and the squad of 10 Fire Warriors over on this side. But all of the other units will be affected by Kauyon, including both Storm Surges, both squads of Pathfinders, both Cadre Fireblades, the Commander, and this middle Fire Warrior squad. Which means going into the movement phase, all of the units affected by Kauyon have to stay still. This squad of 10 Fire Warriors, which is not affected by Kauyon, will move up to 6 inches. And finally, this squad of 10 fire warriors will remain still. Going into the shooting phase, this Cadre Fireblade will fire a marker light into this squad of 10 Poxwalkers. One shot hitting on a 2, re-rolling thanks to the commander and getting a reroll. And here's the reroll. Now getting a hit. So this squad of Poxwalkers will go from having 0 marker lights on it to now having 1. The second Cadre Fireblade will fire a marker light into this squad of 10 Poxwalkers. One shot hitting on a 2, and it hits. And so this squad of 10 Poxwalkers will go from having 0 marker lights on it to now having 1. This squad of 10 Fire Warriors will all fire their pulse rifles at full range into this squad of 10 Poxwalkers. 10 shots hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, getting 8 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll. Getting 9 hits total. Strength 5 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 3s. Getting 5 wounds. No armor save on the Poxwalkers, so 5 up disgustingly resilient rolls, passing 1 and failing 4. So 4 Poxwalkers will go down, leaving 6 models left alive in the squad. Next, this squad of 10 Fire Warriors will fire their pulse rifles at full range into this squad of 10 Poxwalkers. 10 shots hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s. Getting 2 hits and 4 rerolls. And here's the rerolls. Getting 3 more hits for 5 hits total. Strength 5 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 3s. Getting 3 wounds. No armor save on the Poxwalkers, so 3 5-up disgustingly resilient rolls, and failing all 3. So 3 Poxwalkers will go down, leaving 7 left alive in the squad. This squad of 10 Pathfinders will fire 10 marker lights into this Chaos Land Raider. 10 shots, rerolling fails thanks to the commander, hitting on 4s, getting 6 hits, and here's the 4 rerolls, getting 8 hits total. So the Chaos Land Raider will go from having 0 marker lights on it to now having 8. This Storm Surge will fire its cluster rocket system into this squad of 6 Poxwalkers, and it will fire its 4 destroyer missiles and its pulse driver cannon into the Chaos Land Raider. Beginning with the cluster rocket system, 4 D6 shots, getting 12 shots, hitting on 4s, rerolling thanks to the commander, getting 5 hits and 7 rerolls. And here's the rerolls. Getting 6 more hits for 11 hits total. Strength 5 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 3s. Getting 6 wounds. No armor save on the Poxwalkers, so 6 5-up disgustingly resilient rolls, passing 2 and failing 4. So 4 more Poxwalkers will go down, leaving 2 left alive in the squad. Now for the various weapons against the Chaos Land Raider, beginning with the Pulse Driver Cannon, which will fire D6 shots, getting 5 shots, hitting on 3s thanks to marker lights and rerolling fails thanks to the commander, getting 3 hits and 2 rerolls. And here's the 2 rerolls, getting 1 additional hit for 4 hits total. Strength 10 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 3s, and that's pretty bad. Getting 1 wound. Minus 4 AP thanks to an advanced targeting system, so 1 6-up armor save, which passes. Alright then. 4 destroyer missiles hitting on 3s, rerolling, getting 3 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, still failing to hit, so 3 hits total. D3 mortal wounds apiece, getting 7 mortal wounds. So the Chaos Land Raider will fall from 16 starting wounds down to 9. And the Tau Empire are going to use the stratagem Focused Fire for 3 command points, bring them from 8 down to 5. Use this stratagem after a Tau Sept unit from your army inflicts an unsaved wound on an enemy unit in the shooting phase. You can add 1 to wound rolls for any other Tau Sept units from your army that target the same enemy unit this phase. And this, of course, will be used against the Chaos Land Raider. Next, these 4 Fire Warriors are just within 30-inch range to fire their pulse rifles into this squad of 7 Poxwalkers, and the other 6 Fire Warriors will fire their pulse rifles at full range into the Chaos Land Raider, which is down to 9 wounds, to try to knock another wound off. Beginning with the 4 into the Poxwalkers. 4 shots hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s. Actually rerolling all fails thanks to the commander. Getting 4 hits anyways. Strength 5 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 3s. Getting 2 wounds. No armor save on the Poxwalkers, so 2 5-up disgustingly resilient rolls, and passing both. Now for the 6 against the Chaos Land Raider. Hitting on 3s, rerolling thanks to marker lights and the commander, getting 5 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting all 6 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 5s, but adding 1 thanks to the stratagem, so actually wounding on 4s, and it didn't matter at all. Getting 2 wounds. No AP, so 2 2-up armor saves, and passing both. This squad of Pathfinders will fire its 3 ion rifles into the Chaos Land Raider, and they will fire their 7 marker lights into this Plague Burst Crawler. And we will begin with the 7 marker lights, hitting on 4s, re-rolling thanks to the commander, getting 4 hits and 3 re-rolls. And here's the re-rolls. Getting 1 additional hit for 5 hits total. So this Plague Burst Crawler will go from having 0 marker lights on it to now having 5. The 3 ion rifles will fire overcharge shots, so D3 shots apiece. 2 will get 2 shots and 1 will get 3 shots. So we will begin with the 1 ion rifle with 3 shots, hitting on 3s, re-rolling, getting 2 hits and a re-roll. And here's the re-roll. Rolling a 1. Well, this is slightly unfortunate, getting 2 hits and a miss, which is a 1, which will cause a mortal wound onto the ion rifle. I was told in the comments of a previous battle report that the +1 to hit rolls from the marker lights ignores the mortal wounds and negates that effect. However, taking a look through the rule books and various FAQs, I don't see any evidence of that. So if it is true that +1 to hit rolls from the marker lights would ignore taking mortal wounds on a hit roll of a 1, I would appreciate if someone could provide evidence of that. But for the purpose of this battle report, because I cannot find it anywhere, I will assume that even with the +1 to hit rolls, that the roll of a 1 will still cause a mortal wound onto an ion rifle. So 2 hits, but an ion rifle will be killed off. So the second ion rifle, which will have 2 shots, hitting on 3s, re-rolling fails, getting 2 hits. And the third ion rifle with 2 shots, hitting on 3s, re-rolling fails, getting a hit and a re-roll. And here's the re-roll, getting a second hit. So we will have 6 hits total. Strength 8 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 4s, but getting to add 1 thanks to the stratagem, so actually wounding on 3s. And once again, not making a difference at all. Getting 4 wounds, -1 AP, so 4 3-up armor saves, passing 2 and failing 2, but the Death Guard will use 1 command point, going from 9 down to 8 for a command reroll to reroll the 2. And here's the reroll. Still failing the armor save, so 2 will go through, and they are 2 damage apiece. So the Chaos Land Raider will fall from 9 wounds down to 5, and 1 ion rifle will be killed off. The second Storm Surge will fire its cluster rocket system into this squad of 7 Poxwalkers. It will fire its 4 destroyer missiles into the wounded Chaos Land Raider, and it will fire its 2 smart missile systems and its pulse driver cannon into this Plague Burst Crawler. And we will start with the 4 destroyer missiles into the Chaos Land Raider, hitting on 3s, re-rolling, getting all 4 hits. And they will do D3 mortal wounds apiece. And that is a very bad roll, but luckily for the Tau Empire, it's exactly what they needed. So potentially could have done 12 mortal wounds, and instead they will only do 5, but that is exactly what's needed to finish off the 5 remaining wounds on the Chaos Land Raider. So will it explode on a 6? And it will not. So the Chaos Land Raider will lose its final 5 wounds, and the Plague Marines, Plague Surgeon, and Lord of Contagion will emergency disembark. And now the Chaos Land Raider will be removed, and that is First Blood. And because there was an emergency disembarkation, we need to roll a dice for each model that emergency disembarked, and rolls of 1 will remove models from the board. So 9 dice, and there is a single 1 in there. So 1 Plague Marine armed with a bolt gun will go down. Now for the 4 D6 shots from the cluster rocket system. Getting 10 shots, hitting on 4s, re-rolling, getting 4 hits and 6 re-rolls. And here's the re-rolls, getting 8 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 3s, getting 5 wounds. 5 up disgustingly resilient rolls, passing 2 and failing 3. So 3 more Poxwalkers will go down, leaving 4 models left alive in the squad. Now for the 2 smart missile systems against the Plague Burst Crawler. 8 shots, hitting on 3s, re-rolling, getting 5 hits and 3 rerolls. And here's the rerolls. Getting all 8 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 5s. Getting 1 wound. -1 AP thanks to the advanced targeting system, so 1 4-up armor save, which passes. Finally, the Pulse Driver Cannon will fire D6 shots. Getting 6 shots. Hitting on 3s, re-rolling. Getting 5 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll. getting a 6th hit. Strength 10 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 3s. Getting 3 wounds and 3 fails. Minus 4 AP thanks to the advanced targeting system, so 3 5-up invulnerable saves, passing 1 but failing 2. 2 D6 damage, getting only 5 damage, and so the Tau Empire are going to use 1 command point going from 5 down to 4 for a command reroll to reroll the 2. And here's the reroll. Now getting a total of 7 damage. 7 5-up disgustingly resilient rolls, passing 2 but failing 5. So this Plague Burst Crawler will fall from 12 starting wounds down to 7. And finally, the Warlord Commander will fire his 2 missile pods into the squad of 6 Plague Marines. 4 shots total from the 2 missile pods, hitting on 2s, re-rolling, getting 4 hits. Strength 7 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on 3s, getting 2 wounds. Minus 2 AP thanks to the advanced targeting system, so 2 5-up armor saves, passing 1 and failing 1. And it will do D3 damage, and it will do 1 damage. So 1 5-up disgustingly resilient roll, which fails. And so the last Plague Marine armed with just a bolt gun will go down, leaving 5 models left alive in the squad. At the end of the shooting phase, both Storm Surges will deploy their stabilizing anchors. Going into the assault phase, there are no charges to declare, which means going into the fight phase, there are no fights to resolve. However, going into the morale phase, this squad of Pathfinders lost 1 model this turn, but the Pathfinder Shazwi has leadership of 7, and so it is impossible for them to fail. This squad of Poxwalkers lost 8 models this turn, however, they are mindless, and therefore they do not have to take morale checks. This squad of Poxwalkers lost 6 models this turn, however, they are mindless, and so they do not have to take morale checks. And finally, this squad of Plague Marines lost 2 models this turn, but the Plague Champion has leadership of 8, and therefore it is impossible for them to fail. And so taking a quick look at the tactical objective cards, the Tau Empire failed to complete Secure Objective 4, and at this point they will throw this tactical objective card away. And so at the end of Tau Empire turn 1, the score currently sits at 1 victory point for the Tau Empire thanks to First Blood, and 0 victory points for the Death Guard. Going into Death Guard turn 1, a reminder that the Death Guard have 8 command points available, and the Tau Empire have 4 command points available. At the beginning of the turn, the Death Guard drew 1 new tactical objective card, and they drew Secure Objective 5. Score 1 victory point if you control Objective Marker 5 at the end of your turn. And Objective Marker 5 is this one right here, currently not being controlled by anyone, but it is near the Death Guard deployment zone. So going into the movement phase, this squad of 4 Poxwalkers will move up to 4 inches, and they will also declare an advance. And here's their advance roll, rolling 6 additional inches. So the squad of 4 Poxwalkers will move up to 10 inches. This squad of 2 Poxwalkers will move up to 4 inches, and they will also declare an advance. And here's the advance roll, rolling 1 additional inch. So this squad of 2 Poxwalkers will move up to 5 inches. The squad of 5 Plague Marines will move up to 5 inches. The Plague Surgeon will also move up to 5 inches. The Lord of Contagion will move up to 4 inches and will also declare an advance. And here's the advance roll, rolling 5 additional inches. So the Lord of Contagion will move up to 9 inches. The Demon Prince and Nurgle with Wings will move up to 12 inches and will also declare an advance. And here's the advance roll, rolling 3 additional inches. So the Demon Prince and Nurgle with Wings will move up to 15 inches. The wounded Plague Burst Crawler will remain still. The fully healthy Plague Burst Crawler will remain still. And finally, the Warlord Demon Prince and Nurgle will remain still. And the Death Guard are going to use the stratagem Grandfather's Blessings for 2 command points, bring them from 8 down to 6. You can use this stratagem at the end of your movement phase. Select a Death Guard infantry unit. 1 model in the unit regains D3 lost wounds. If there are no wounded models in the unit, a single model in the unit that was slain earlier in the battle is returned to the unit with a single wound remaining. And so this will be used on the squad of Plague Marines to bring back one of the 2 Plague Marines that was armed with a bolt gun. So the squad will go from 5 models in the unit back up to 6. Going into the Psychic phase, we will begin with the Warlord Demon Prince and Nurgle attempting to manifest Miasma of Pestilence onto the Lord of Contagion. And Miasma of Pestilence has a warp charge value of 6, and it will go off with a 9. And finally, the Demon Prince and Nurgle with Wings will attempt to manifest Smite onto this squad of 10 Fire Warriors. And Smite has a warp charge value of 5, and it will pass with a 10. So it will do D3 mortal wounds, and it will do 1 mortal wound. But the Death Guard will use 1 command point going from 6 down to 5 for a command reroll to reroll the 2. And so here's the reroll on the D3, still rolling a 2, which of course is a 1, so only 1 mortal wound will be applied. So 1 Fire Warrior will go down. This squad of 6 Plague Marines will fire the 1 bolt gun and 3 plasma guns that they have in rapid fire range into this squad of 9 Pathfinders. Beginning with the bolt gun, 2 shots hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 2 hits. Strength 4 versus toughness 3 means wounding on 3s and failing to wound. The 3 plasma guns will fire standard shots, so they don't have to worry about killing off their own models. They can all be fired at the same time. 6 shots total, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting a terrible hit roll. 2 hits and 2 rerolls. And here's the rerolls. Getting 4 hits total. Strength 7 versus toughness 3 means wounding on 2s. Getting 3 wounds, minus 3 AP, so no armor save on the Pathfinders. And so 3 Pathfinders will go down, beginning with the 2 armed with ion rifles, and then 1 regular Pathfinder with a pulse carbine and marker light, leaving 6 models left alive in the squad. This Plague Burst Crawler is going to fire everything that it has into this squad of 6 Pathfinders in order to try to kill off the marker lights. Beginning with the Heavy Slugger, 4 shots hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, getting 1 hit and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll. Still failing to hit, so 1 hit total. Strength 5 versus toughness 3 means wounding on a 3. And it fails to wound. 2 entropy cannons hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, getting a hit and a miss. Strength 8 versus toughness 3 means wounding on a 2. And it wounds. Minus 4 AP, so no armor save on the Pathfinder, and not that it matters, but it would have done D6 damage. It would have done 5 damage. So 1 more Pathfinder will go down, leaving 5 left alive in the squad. And finally, the Plague Burst Mortar will fire D6 shots, getting 1 shot, so the Death Guard will use 1 command point going from 5 down to 4 for a command reroll to reroll the 1. And here's the reroll, getting 6 shots. Hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s. Getting an absolutely terrible roll, 1 hit and 2 rerolls. And here's the rerolls. Getting 1 additional hit for 2 hits total. Strength 8 versus toughness 3 means wounding on 2s, rerolling thanks to the Warlord trait, and for being a plague weapon. Getting 2 wounds. And they are minus 2 AP, so no armor save on the Pathfinders. And once again, not that it matters, but D3 damage apiece would have done 5 damage total. So 2 more Pathfinders will go down, leaving 3 left alive in the squad. Finally, this Plague Burst Crawler, which is down to 7 wounds but still at the highest tier on its damage chart, will fire everything that it has into the squad of 3 Pathfinders. Beginning with the 4 shots from the Heavy Slugger, hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, getting 1 hit. Strength 5 versus toughness 3 means wounding on a 3, and it wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 1 6-up armor save, which fails. So 1 more Pathfinder will go down, leaving 2 left alive in the squad. Now for the 2 entropy cannons, hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, and both failed to hit. Finally, the Plague Burst Mortar, D6 shots, getting 4 shots. Hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, getting 2 hits and 2 rerolls. And here's the 2 rerolls. Getting 1 additional hit for 3 hits total. Strength 8 versus toughness 3 means wounding on 2s, rerolling the 1s. Getting 1 wound and 2 rerolls. And here's the rerolls. Getting 1 additional wound for 2 wounds total. They are minus 2 AP, so no armor save on the Pathfinders. And just to see what it would be, here's the D3 damage apiece. 1-1 and 1-3. But the final 2 Pathfinders will go down, and that squad is wiped out. Going into the assault phase, there are no charges to declare, which means going into the fight phase, there are no fights to resolve. And going into the morale phase, this squad of Fire Warriors lost 1 model this turn. However, the Fire Warrior Shazwi has a leadership of 7, so it's impossible for them to fail. And so taking a look at the tactical objective cards, the Death Guard did successfully complete Secure Objective 5 for 1 victory point. And so at the end of Death Guard turn 1, the score currently sits at 1 victory point for the Death Guard and 1 victory point for the Tau Empire. Going into Tau Empire turn 2, a reminder that the Tau Empire have 4 command points available, and the Death Guard also have 4 command points available. At the beginning of the turn, the Tau drew 2 new tactical objective cards, and they drew Kingslayer, score D3 victory points if your opponent's Warlord has been destroyed during this or any previous turn, and Secure Objective 6, score 1 victory point if you control Objective Marker 6 at the end of your turn. And Objective Marker 6 is this one right here, currently being controlled by this squad of Fire Warriors. And going into the movement phase, the entire Tau Empire army will remain still. So going into the shooting phase, this squad of 9 Pathfinders will fire their pulse rifles at full range into this squad of 2 Poxwalkers. 9 shots hitting on 4s, getting 4 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 3s. Getting 2 wounds. No armor save on the Poxwalkers, so 2 5-up disgustingly resilient rolls, and failing both. So these 2 Poxwalkers will go down, and that squad is wiped out. This squad of 10 Fire Warriors will fire their pulse rifles at full range into this squad of 4 Poxwalkers. 10 shots hitting on 4s, getting 5 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 3s, getting all 5 wounds. No AP but +1 thanks to the crater, so 5 6-up armor saves, failing all 5. So 5 5-up disgustingly resilient rolls, passing 2 and failing 3. So 3 Poxwalkers will go down, leaving 1 left alive in the squad. This squad of 10 Fire Warriors will fire their pulse rifles at full range into this lone Poxwalker. 10 shots hitting on 4s, getting 5 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 3s, getting 5 wounds. No AP but +1 thanks to the crater, so 5 6-up armor saves, passing 1 and failing 4. 4 5-up disgustingly resilient rolls, passing 3 but failing 1. And so this final Poxwalker will be removed, and that squad is wiped out. This Cadre Fireblade will fire a marker light into the Lord of Contagion, which he can do because the Lord of Contagion is the closest visible enemy unit. So 1 shot hitting on a 3, and it hits. So the Lord of Contagion will go from having 0 marker lights on it to now having 1. This squad of 10 Pathfinders will fire 10 marker lights into the Lord of Contagion. 10 marker lights hitting on 5s, rerolling 1s. And here's the 2 rerolls, getting 1 additional hit for 6 hits total. So the Lord of Contagion will go from having 1 marker light on it to now having 7. The second Cadre Fireblade will fire a marker light into the wounded Plague Burst Crawler. 1 shot hitting on a 2, and it hits. So the Plague Burst Crawler will go from having 0 marker lights on it to now having 1. The Warlord Commander will fire his 2 missile pods into the Lord of Contagion. 4 shots from the 2 missile pods hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s thanks to the marker lights, getting all 4 hits. Strength 7 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on 3s, getting 3 wounds. -2 AP thanks to an advanced targeting system, so 3 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 2 and failing 1. But the Death Guard are going to use 1 command point going from 4 down to 3 for a command reroll to reroll the 3. And here's the reroll. Still failing the invulnerable save. And it will do D3 damage, and it will do 2 damage. 2 5-up disgustingly resilient rolls, passing 1 and failing 1. So the Lord of Contagion will fall from 6 starting wounds down to 5. And so the Tau Empire will use the stratagem Focused Fire for 3 command points, bring them from 4 down to 1 left. Use this stratagem after a Tau Sept unit from your army inflicts an unsaved wound on an enemy unit in the shooting phase. You can add 1 to wound rolls for any other Tau Sept units from your army that target the same enemy unit in this phase, and this will be used against the Lord of Contagion. This Storm Surge will fire its Pulse Driver Cannon into this Plague Burst Crawler, and it will fire its Cluster Rocket System and its 2 Smart Missile Systems into the Lord of Contagion, who is down to 5 wounds. Beginning with the Pulse Driver Cannon. D6 shots, getting 1 shot, so the Tau are going to use 1 command point going from 1 down to 0 for a command reroll to reroll the number of shots. And here's the reroll, now getting 6 shots. 6 shots hitting on 3s thanks to the stabilizing anchors and rerolling 1s thanks to the marker light. Getting 3 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting a 4th hit. Strength 10 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 3s. Wow, that's a really bad wound roll. Getting 1 wound. -4 AP thanks to the advanced targeting system, so 1 5-up invulnerable save, which fails. And so it will do D6 damage, and it will do 6 damage. 6 5-up disgustingly resilient rolls, passing 2 but failing 4. So the Plague Burst Crawler will fall from 7 wounds down to 3. And now for the weapons into the Lord of Contagion, beginning with the 2 Smart Missile Systems, 8 shots total, hitting on 4s. Thanks to the stabilizing anchors, counteracting the Miasma of Pestilence, rerolling 1s thanks to the marker lights, so getting 5 hits and 2 rerolls. And here's the rerolls. getting 7 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on 4s, but adding 1 thanks to the stratagem, so actually wounding on 3s. And just like the previous Tau shooting phase, so far that hasn't made a difference. Getting 5 wounds. Minus 1 AP thanks to the advanced targeting system, so 5 3-up armor saves. Passing 4 but failing 1. 1 5-up disgustingly resilient roll, which fails. So the Lord of Contagion will fall from 5 wounds down to 4. And I do apologize, but the Storm Surge had +2 to hit rolls thanks to the stabilizing anchors and the marker lights, counteracting the -1 to hit from Miasma Pestilence. So there was a hit roll of a 3 that should have counted, not just hit rolls 4. So we will resolve that quickly here. So we have one more attempt to wound from the smart missile systems, and it will fail to wound anyways, needing a 3. 4 D6 shots from the cluster rocket system, getting a very nice roll of 19 shots. So 19 shots from the cluster rocket system. So hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s thanks to the marker lights. Getting 12 hits and 3 rerolls. And here's the rerolls, getting 14 hits total. Strength 5 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on 4s, but adding 1 thanks to the stratagem, so actually wounding on 3s. And it actually makes a difference this time. Getting 9 wounds. Minus 1 AP thanks to the advanced targeting system, so 9 3-up armor saves. And passing all 9. Finally, the other Storm Surge will fire its 2 smart missile systems, its cluster rocket system, and its pulse driver cannon into the Lord of Contagion. And we will begin with the pulse driver cannon. D6 shots, getting 4 shots. Hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 2 hits and 2 rerolls. And here's the rerolls, getting all 4 hits. Strength 10 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on 2s. And of course, rolling 2 1s, so only getting 2 wounds. Minus 4 AP thanks to an advanced targeting system, so 2 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 1 and failing 1. And the one that goes through will do D6 damage, and of course, only rolling 1 damage. So 1 5-up disgustingly resilient roll, which fails. So the Lord of Contagion will fall from 4 wounds down to 3. 8 shots from the 2 smart missile systems, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 6 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on 4s, adding 1 thanks to the stratagem, so actually wounding on 3s. And that makes a difference, getting 3 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 3 3-up armor saves, passing all 3. Finally, 4 D6 shots from the cluster rocket system, getting 15 shots. Hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 11 hits and 3 rerolls. And here's the rerolls, getting 12 hits total. Strength 5 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on 4s, adding 1 thanks to the stratagem, so actually wounding on 3s. Getting 10 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 10 3-up armor saves. Passing 5, but failing 5. So 5-up disgustingly resilient rolls, and failing all 5. So the Lord of Contagion is killed off and removed. Going into the assault phase, there are no charges to declare, which means going into the fight phase, there are no fights to resolve, and going into the morale phase, there are no morale checks to take. And so taking a look at the tactical objective cards, the Tau Empire failed to complete Kingslayer, but they did successfully complete Secure Objective 6 for 1 victory point, and they will hold on to Kingslayer. And so at the end of Tau Empire Turn 2, the score currently sits at 2 victory points for the Tau Empire and 1 victory point for the Death Guard. Going into Death Guard Turn 2, a reminder that the Death Guard have 3 command points available, and the Tau Empire have 0 command points available. At the beginning of the turn, the Death Guard drew 2 tactical objective cards, and they drew no prisoners. Score 1 victory point if an enemy unit was destroyed during your turn. If between 3 and 5 enemy units were destroyed during your turn, score D3 victory points instead. And if 6 or more enemy units were destroyed during your turn, score D3 plus 3 victory points instead. They also drew Psychological Warfare. Score 1 victory point if your opponent failed a morale test during this turn. If your opponent failed 3 or more morale tests, score D3 victory points instead. Also, at the beginning of the turn, a quick note about the Lord of Contagion, which was killed off in the previous Tau shooting phase. I messed up the advance roll for the Lord of Contagion because he's wearing Cataphractii armor and therefore should have halved his advance roll, which means he shouldn't have moved as far as he did, which means he should not have been the closest visible enemy unit to any of the Tau forces. However, we're just going to roll with it and continue the game as if nothing was messed up. But I do want to acknowledge that that was done done incorrectly. But at the time, I had forgotten that Cataphractii armor had that caveat about having advance rolls. So I do apologize about that, but we're going to continue on the game as if nothing's wrong in order to see what the outcome of this match is. And so going into the movement phase, this squad of 6 Plague Marines are going to move up to 5 inches. The Plague Surgeon is going to move up to 5 inches. The Demon Prince of Nurgle with wings is going to move up to 12 inches. The wounded Plague Burst Crawler will remain still. The Warlord Demon Prince of Nurgle will remain still. Finally, the fully healthy Plague Burst Crawler will remain still. Going into the Psychic phase, the Warlord Demon Prince of Nurgle will attempt to manifest Miasma of Pestilence onto the squad of 6 Plague Marines. And Miasma of Pestilence has a warp charge value of 6. And it will fail with a 3. But the Death Guard are going to use 1 command point going from 3 down to 2 for a command reroll to reroll the 1. And here's the reroll, and it will pass with a 7. The Demon Prince of Nurgle with wings will attempt to manifest Smite onto this squad of 9 Fire Warriors. And Smite has a warp charge value of 5, rolling a 4 which fails. Going into the shooting phase, the Plague Surgeon is going to fire a bolt pistol into this squad of 9 Fire Warriors. One shot, hitting on a 3, rerolling 1s, getting a hit. Strength 4 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on a 3, and it wounds. No AP, so 1 4-up armor save, which passes. This squad of 6 Plague Marines are going to fire the 1 bolt gun and 3 plasma guns in rapid fire range into this squad of 10 Fire Warriors. Beginning with the bolt gun, 2 shots in rapid fire range, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 1 hit. Strength 4 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on a 3, and it fails to wound. 3 plasma guns in rapid fire range, firing standard shots, so all 6 shots can be fired together, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s. Getting 4 hits and 2 rerolls. And here's the rerolls. Getting 1 additional hit for 5 hits total. Strength 7 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 2s. Getting 4 wounds, and they are minus 3 AP, so no armor save on the Fire Warriors. So 4 Fire Warriors will go down, leaving 6 left alive in the squad. The fully healthy Plague Burst Crawler will shoot everything that it has into the squad of 10 Pathfinders. Beginning with the 4 shots from the Heavy Slugger, hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s. Getting 2 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting 3 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 3s. Getting 2 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so these will both go on to Pathfinders that are sitting in the ruin, which means they will get +1 to their armor save, so 2 5-up armor saves. Failing both anyways. So 2 of the 3 Pathfinders sitting in the ruin will go down, leaving 8 left alive in the squad. Next will be the 2 Entropy Cannons hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s. Getting 1 hit. Strength 8 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on a 2. And of course fails to wound. Finally, the Plague Burst Mortar will fire D6 shots, getting 1 shot, so the Death Guard will use 1 command point going from 2 down to 1 for a command reroll to reroll the 1. And here's the reroll. Now getting 2 shots. Hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, getting a hit and a reroll. And here's the reroll. Still failing to hit. Strength 8 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on a 2, and it wounds. Minus 2 AP, so this will go into the final Pathfinder sitting in the ruin, who will get +1 to the armor save, so 1 6-up armor save, which fails anyways. So the final Pathfinder sitting in the ruin will go down, leaving 7 models left alive in the squad. Finally, the wounded Plague Burst Crawler will shoot everything it has into the squad of 7 Pathfinders. Beginning with the Heavy Slugger, 4 shots hitting on 5s, rerolling 1s, thanks to being down to 3 wounds, getting 2 hits and 1 reroll, and here's the reroll. Still failing to hit for 2 hits total. Strength 5 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 3s, getting 1 wound. Minus 1 AP, and no one is sitting in a ruin anymore, so 1 6-up armor save, which fails. So 1 more Pathfinder will go down, leaving 6 left alive in the squad. 2 Entropy Cannons hitting on 5s, rerolling 1s, getting a hit and a reroll. And here's the reroll, getting 2 hits. Why is the wounded Plague Burst Crawler hitting better than the fully healthy Plague Burst Crawler? Someone explain this to me. Strength 8 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 2s, getting 2 wounds, and minus 4 AP, so no armor save on the Pathfinders. So 2 more Pathfinders will go down, leaving 4 left alive in the squad. Finally, the Plague Burst Mortar, D6 shots, getting 1 shot again. Hitting on a 5, rerolling 1s, getting a hit. Strength 8 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on a 2, and it wounds. And minus 2 AP, so no armor save on the Pathfinders. So 1 more Pathfinder will go down, leaving 3 left alive in the squad. Going into the assault phase, there are 2 charges to declare. The first will be the Demon Prince and Nurgle with Wings declaring a charge into the squad of 9 Fire Warriors. And of course, the Fire Warriors will be able to overwatch, and so will the Cadre Fireblade nearby, who's within 6 inches. He will be able to help, even though the Demon Prince is not charging the Cadre Fireblade. And then if the Demon Prince successfully makes his charge and is able to get out of the way, then the squad of 6 Plague Marines will also charge in to the squad of Fire Warriors. So we will begin with the Demon Prince. And we will start with the overwatch from the Cadre Fireblade, who will attempt to throw a photon grenade, which is D6 shots, getting 6 shots, hitting on 5s and 6s, and of course getting 5 hits on a weapon that doesn't actually do any damage. But the Demon Prince and Nurgle with Wings will now have to subtract 1 from hit rolls for the rest of the turn. And now the 9 Fire Warriors will shoot their pulse rifles in rapid fire range, and they are within 6 inches of Cadre Fireblade, so 27 shots, hitting on 5s and 6s, getting 7 hits. Strength 5 versus toughness 6 means wounding on 5s, getting 2 wounds. No AP, so 2 up armor saves thanks to the separating plate, passing 1 and failing 1. So 1 5-up disgustingly resilient roll, which fails. So the Demon Prince and Nurgle with Wings will fall from 8 starting wounds down to 7. And now here's the charge range, getting 8 inches. And so even after subtracting 2 from the charge range, thanks to charging through a crater, 6 inches is still definitely more than enough to make it in. And now the Plague Marines will charge in, and because the Fire Warriors are engaged, they will not have to suffer overwatch. And here's the charge range, getting 5 inches. And unfortunately, that is not enough to make it within an inch, so the Death Guard will use their last command point going from 1 down to 0 for a command reroll to reroll the 2. And here's the reroll, now getting 6 inches. And luckily for the Plague Marines, the Plague Champion is only about 6.5 inches away from the Fire Warriors. There is enough space between the 2 craters for a 32mm base to make it through without touching either. So they will be able to carefully make it in. Going into the fight phase, we will begin with the squad of 6 Plague Marines, so they will pile in up to 3 inches. And so the Plague Champion, one of the 2 Plague Flails, and both plasma guns will be in range to fight in this fight phase. Beginning with the Plague Champion and his Power Fist, 2 attacks hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, getting a miss and a reroll. And here's the reroll, getting 1 hit. Strength 8 versus toughness 3 means wounding on a 2, and it wounds. A minus 3 AP, so no armor save for the Fire Warriors. So 1 Fire Warrior will go down, leaving 8 left alive in the squad. The 2 Plague Marines armed with plasma guns will attack with 1 attack apiece with their Plague Knives, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting a hit and a reroll. And here's the reroll, getting 2 hits total. Strength 4 versus toughness 3 means wounding on 3s, rerolling 1s thanks to the Plague Knives, getting 2 wounds. No AP, so 2 4-up armor saves, and failing both. So 2 more Fire Warriors will go down, leaving 6 left alive in the squad. Finally, the Flail of Corruption Plague Marine has 1 attack base, but gets to make D3 attacks per attack, and of course only getting 1. Hitting on a 3, rerolling 1s thanks to Demon Prince, getting a hit. Strength 6 versus toughness 3 means wounding on 2s, rerolling 1s, and getting a wound. Minus 2 AP, so 1 6-up armor save, which fails. And it will do 2 damage, and the damage does carry over from model to model, thanks to this weapon. So 2 more Fire Warriors will go down, leaving 4 left alive in the squad. And now the squad of Plague Marines will get to consolidate. Since the Tau have no command points, they cannot use the stratagem counteroffensive, which means we will continue with Death Guard units who charged this turn, and so we will finally resolve the Demon Prince and Nurgle with Wings, who will pile in up to 3 inches. And now the Demon Prince and Nurgle with Wings will place his attacks onto the squad of 4 Fire Warriors. 7 attacks with his 2 sets of Malefic Talons, hitting on 3s thanks to the Photon Grenade, rerolling 1s, getting 6 hits. Strength 7 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 2s, getting 6 wounds. Minus 2 AP, so 6 up armor saves, passing 1 but failing 5. And so the final 4 Fire Warriors will be killed off, and that squad is wiped out, and now the Demon Prince will consolidate up to 3 inches. And while the Demon Prince and Nurgle with Wings is so very close to this Cadre Fireblade, he is not locked in combat. Going into the morale phase, this squad of Pathfinders lost 7 models this turn, and the Pathfinder Shazwi has a leadership of 7, which means they will automatically fail, and the dice roll will determine how many more models are killed off. However, thanks to Bonding Knife Ritual, if they roll a 6, they will automatically pass. And so here's the morale check roll, and they roll a 5. So this squad of Pathfinders will fail its morale check, and they fail it enough so that the final 3 models are killed off. And that squad is wiped out. And finally, this squad of Fire Warriors lost 4 models this turn, and the Fire Warrior Shazwi has leadership of 7, so they could fail on a 4 or 5 and lose additional models. If they roll a 6, they will automatically pass thanks to Bonding Knife Ritual. And so here's the morale check roll, and they roll a 6, so thanks to Bonding Knife Ritual, they automatically pass. And so taking a look at the tactical objective cards. The Death Guard did successfully complete no prisoners for 1 victory point, thanks to destroying 2 enemy units. They also successfully completed psychological warfare for 1 victory point, thanks to the Tau failing the morale check on the squad of Pathfinders. And since both of these tactical objective cards are the tactical objective type Purge, the Death Guard will gain an additional victory point for each tactical objective card, which means that they are actually worth 2 apiece. And so at the end of Death Guard turn 2, the score currently sits at 5 victory points for the Death Guard and 2 victory points for the Tau Empire. Going into Tau Empire turn 3, a reminder that the Tau Empire have 0 command points available, and the Death Guard also have 0 command points available. At the beginning of the turn, a reminder that the Tau Empire held on to the tactical objective card Kingslayer from the previous turn, and so the Tau Empire drew 2 new tactical objective cards, and they drew Secure Objective 5, score 1 victory point if you control Objective Marker 5 at the end of your turn, and Defend Objective 3, score 2 victory points if you control Objective Marker 3 at the end of 2 consecutive turns. And Objective Marker 5 is this one right here, currently not being controlled by anyone. And Objective Marker 3 is this one back here, currently being controlled by the fully healthy Plagueburst Crawler. Going into the movement phase, this Storm Surge will remain still. The second Storm Surge will also remain still. The Warlord Commander will move up to 8 inches. This Cadre Fireblade will remain still. This squad of 6 Fire Warriors is going to reposition up to 6 inches. This Cadre Fireblade is going to move up to 6 inches. And finally, this squad of 10 Fire Warriors is going to reposition up to 6 inches. Going into the shooting phase, the Cadre Fireblade who remains still will fire a Marker Light into the Demon Prince and Nurgle with Wings. 1 shot hitting on a 2, and it hits. So the Demon Prince and Nurgle with Wings will go from having 0 Marker Lights on it to now having 1. Next, the Cadre Fireblade who moved will fire a Marker Light into the wounded Plagueburst Crawler. 1 shot hitting on a 3, and it hits. So the Plagueburst Crawler that is down to 3 wounds will go from having 0 Marker Lights on it to now having 1. The Warlord Commander will fire its 2 missile pods into the Demon Prince and Nurgle with Wings. 4 shots hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s thanks to the Marker Light, getting 3 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting an additional hit for 4 hits total. Strength 7 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on 3s, getting 3 wounds. Minus 2 AP thanks to the advanced targeting system, so 3 4-up armor saves, passing 1 but failing 2, and they are D3 damage apiece, for a total of 5 damage. 5-up disgustingly resilient rolls, passing 2 and failing 3. So the Demon Prince and Nurgle with Wings will fall from 7 wounds down to 4. This Storm Surge will fire everything that it has into the Demon Prince and Nurgle with Wings. Beginning with the Pulse Driver Cannon, D6 shots, getting 5 shots. Hitting on 3s thanks to the Stabilizing Anchors, rerolling 1s thanks to the Marker Light, getting 3 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting 4 hits total. Strength 10 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on 3s, getting all 4 wounds. Minus 4 AP thanks to an advanced targeting system, so 4 5-up invulnerable saves, passing 1 and failing 3. 3 D6 damage, getting 11 damage. 11 5-up disgustingly resilient rolls, and of course only passing 1, failing 10. So the Demon Prince and Nurgle with Wings will lose its last 4 wounds and be killed off. And so, of course, the only reason that the Pulse Driver Cannon was so efficient at killing off the Demon Prince and Nurgle with Wings is now the 2 burst cannons, 2 smart missile systems, and the cluster rocket system will go to waste. This squad of 6 fire warriors will shoot their pulse rifles in rapid fire range into this squad of 6 plague marines. 3 shots apiece thanks to the Cadre Fireblades nearby for 18 shots total, hitting on 5s because of Miasma of Pestilence. Hitting 7 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on 4s. Getting 3 wounds. 3 up armor saves because no AP. Passing 2 and failing 1. And 1 5 up Disgustingly Resilient roll, which fails. So the Plague Marine armed with a bolt gun will go down, leaving 5 models left alive in the squad. This squad of 10 fire warriors will fire their pulse rifles into this squad of 5 Plague Marines, and 2 of the fire warriors are in rapid fire range. So 14 shots total, 3 shots apiece from the 2 that are in rapid fire range, and 1 shot apiece from the 8 that are at full range, hitting on 5s, no rerolls. Getting 7 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on 4s. Getting 4 wounds. No AP, so 3 up armor saves. Passing all 4. Storm Surge number 2 will fire its Pulse Driver Cannon into the wounded Plague Burst Crawler, and it will fire its 2 burst cannons, 2 smart missile systems, and its cluster rocket system into this squad of 5 Plague Marines. Beginning with the Pulse Driver Cannon, D6 shots, getting 4 shots, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 1 hit and 1 reroll, and here's the rerolls, still just getting 1 hit total. Strength 10 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on a 3, and it fails to wound, so the Pulse Driver Cannon will do nothing. 8 shots from the 2 burst cannons into the Plague Marines, hitting on 4s, because the stabilizing anchors are negating the Miasma of Pestilence, but no rerolls. Getting 2 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on 4s, getting 1 wound. Minus 1 AP, so 1 4-up armor save, which fails. 1 5-up Disgustingly Resilient, which also fails. So 1 Plague Marine armed with a Flail of Corruption will go down, leaving 4 models left alive in the squad. Now for 8 shots from the 2 smart missile systems, hitting on 4s, getting 5 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on 4s, getting 3 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 3 4-up armor saves, passing 2, failing 1, and 1 5-up Disgustingly Resilient roll, which passes. Finally, the 4 D6 shots from the cluster rocket system, getting 12 shots, hitting on 4s, getting 7 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on 4s, getting 3 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 3 4-up armor saves, passing 2 and failing 1. 1 5-up Disgustingly Resilient roll, which fails. And so the second Flail of Corruption will go down, leaving 3 models left alive in the squad. Going into the assault phase, there are no charges to declare, which means going into the fight phase, there are no fights to resolve. However, going into the morale phase, this squad of Plague Marines lost 3 models this turn, and the Plague Champion has a leadership of 8, so they could fail on a 6. And here's the morale check roll, and they roll a 6, so they will fail. So 1 more Plague Marine will go down, and it will be a Plague Marine armed with a plasma gun, leaving 2 models left alive in the squad. So taking a look at the tactical objective cards, the Tau Empire failed to complete Kingslayer, they failed to complete Secure Objective 5, and they failed to begin to defend Objective 3. And so at this point, the Tau Empire will throw Defend Objective 3 away. And so at the end of Tau Empire Turn 3, the score currently sits at 2 victory points for the Tau Empire and 5 victory points for the Death Guard. Going into Death Guard Turn 3, a reminder that the Death Guard have 0 command points available, and the Tau Empire also have 0 command points available. At the beginning of the turn, the Death Guard needed to draw 3 new tactical objective cards, and they drew Defend Objective 5, score 2 victory points if you control Objective Marker 5 at the end of 2 consecutive turns. Kingslayer, score D3 victory points if your opponent's Warlord has been destroyed during this or any previous turn. And finally, Blood and Guts, score 1 victory point if an enemy unit was destroyed during the fight phase this turn. If 3 or more enemy units were destroyed during the fight phase this turn, score D3 victory points instead. Going into the movement phase, the wounded Plague Burst Crawler will remain still. The fully healthy Plague Burst Crawler will also remain still. The Plague Surgeon is going to move up to 5 inches, and he will also declare an advance. And here's the advance roll, rolling 3 additional inches. So the Plague Surgeon will move up to 8 inches. Now the squad of 2 Plague Marines will move up to 5 inches. And finally, the Warlord Demon Prince of Nurgle is going to move up to a couple of inches. Going into the Psychic phase, the Warlord Demon Prince of Nurgle will attempt to manifest Miasma of Pestilence onto the fully healthy Plague Burst Crawler. Miasma of Pestilence has a warp charge value of 6, and it will go off with an 8. Going into the shooting phase, this squad of 2 Plague Marines will fire their 2 plasma guns in rapid fire range into this Cadre Fireblade. And they will fire standard shots, so 4 shots total, hitting on 3s, getting all 4 hits. Strength 7 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 2s, and getting 3 wounds. And they are minus 3 AP, so the Cadre Fireblade will not have an armor save. So the Cadre Fireblade will fall from 5 starting wounds down to 2. The wounded Plague Burst Crawler will fire everything that it has into this squad of 6 Fire Warriors. Beginning with the Heavy Slugger, 4 shots hitting on 5s, rerolling 1s, getting 2 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 3s, getting 1 wound. Minus 1 AP and no cover, so 1 5-up armor save, which passes. 2 shots from the Entropy Cannons, hitting on 5s, rerolling 1s, getting 1 hit. Strength 8 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on a 2, and it wounds, and minus 4 AP, so no armor save. So 1 Fire Warrior will go down, leaving 5 left alive in the squad. Now for the Plague Burst Mortar, D6 shots, getting 4 shots, hitting on 5s, rerolling 1s, getting a hit and a reroll, and here's the reroll, getting 2 hits total. Strength 8 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 2s, rerolling, thanks to being a plague weapon, getting 2 wounds. Minus 2 AP, so 2 6-up armor saves, and failing both. So 2 more Fire Warriors will go down, leaving 3 left alive in the squad. Finally, the fully healthy Plague Burst Crawler will shoot everything it has into the squad of 3 Fire Warriors. Beginning with the 4 shots from the Heavy Slugger, hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, getting 3 hits and a reroll. And here's the reroll, getting all 4 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 3s, getting 1 wound. Minus 1 AP, so 1 5-up armor save, which passes. 2 shots from the Entropy Cannons, hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, and both fail to hit. Finally, D6 shots from the Plague Burst Mortar, getting 2 shots, hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, getting a miss and a reroll, and here's the reroll, still failing to hit. So that Plague Burst Crawler did nothing against those Fire Warriors. Going into the Assault phase, this squad of Plague Marines will declare a charge solely into the wounded Cadre Fireblade, but this will mean that both Cadre Fireblades, both squads of Fire Warriors, and the Warlord Commander will get to Overwatch. So beginning with the wounded Cadre Fireblade, who will attempt to throw a photon grenade. D6 shots, getting 3 shots, hitting on 5s and 6s, and getting multiple hits, so the Plague Marines will have to subtract 1 from hit rolls. The fully healthy Cadre Fireblade will now fire his pulse rifle in rapid fire range, 3 shots total, hitting on 5s and 6s, and all fail to hit. The squad of 3 Fire Warriors will shoot their pulse rifles in rapid fire range for 9 shots total, hitting on 5s and 6s, getting 2 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on 4s, and failing to wound. The squad of 10 Fire Warriors will shoot next. 8 of the 10 are in rapid fire range, but 2 are not, so that will result in 26 shots total, hitting on 5s and 6s, getting 5 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on 4s, getting 2 wounds. No AP, so 2 3-up armor saves, passing both. 2 missile pods, 4 shots total, hitting on 5s and 6s from the commander, getting 2 hits. Strength 7 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on 3s, getting 2 wounds. Minus 2 AP thanks to the advanced targeting system, so 2 5-up armor saves, and failing both. And they are D3 damage apiece, but they will have to be done separately, so the first strike, D3 damage, will do 2 damage. 2 5-up disgustingly resilient rolls, and failing both, so 1 Plague Marine will go down. And then the second strike will do D3 damage as well, which will do just 1, and 1 5-up disgustingly resilient roll, which will pass. So unfortunately for the Death Guard, the 1 regular Plague Marine armed with a plasma gun will go down, leaving only the Plague Champion left alive in the squad. And now for the charge range, getting 8 inches. And 8 inches will be more than enough to make it in. Going into the fight phase, we will begin with the Plague Champion, who will pile in up to 3 inches. And the Plague Champion is now locked in combat with both the wounded Cadre Fireblade and the squad of 3 Fire Warriors. And so now the Plague Champion will place his attacks onto the Cadre Fireblade. So the Plague Champion will use his Power Fist against the Cadre Fireblade, so 2 attacks hitting on 5s, thanks to the Photon Grenade, and not that it matters, missing both. So now the Cadre Fireblade will attack back. The Cadre Fireblade has 3 attacks base, hitting on 3s, getting 3 hits. Strength 3 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on 5s, getting 1 wound, no AP, so 1 3-up armor save, which passes. And now the Fire Warriors will pile in, and they will now place their attacks against the Plague Champion. 4 attacks total, hitting on 5s, getting 2 hits. Strength 3 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on 5s, getting 1 wound. No AP, so 1 3-up armor save, which passes. Going into the morale phase, the Plague Marine squad lost 1 model this turn. However, the Plague Champion has a leadership of 8, so it is impossible for them to fail. Finally, the 3-man Fire Warrior squad lost 3 models this turn, and the Fire Warrior Shazwi has leadership of 7, so they could fail on a 5. And here's the morale check roll, and they do roll a 5, so they will fail. So 1 additional Fire Warrior will go down, leaving 2 left alive in the squad. Taking a look at the tactical objective cards, the Death Guard failed to complete Defend Objective 5, they failed to complete Kingslayer, and they also failed to complete Blood and Guts. And at this point, they will throw Defend Objective 5 away. At the end of Death Guard turn 3, the score currently sits at 5 victory points for the Death Guard and 2 victory points for the Tau Empire. Going into Tau Empire turn 4, a reminder that the Tau Empire have 0 command points available, and the Death Guard also have 0 command points available. At the beginning of the turn, a reminder that the Tau Empire held on to Kingslayer and Secure Objective 5 from the previous turn, and so the Tau Empire drew 2 new tactical objective cards, and they drew the Lure, score 1 victory point if at least 1 enemy unit that made a successful charge in your opponent's last turn was destroyed, score D3 victory points instead if 3 or more enemy units that made a successful charge in your opponent's last turn were destroyed. And Assassinate, score 1 victory point if at least 1 enemy character was destroyed during this turn. If 3 or more enemy characters were destroyed during this turn, score D3 victory points instead. Going into the movement phase, this squad of 2 Fire Warriors is going to fall back out of combat up to 6 inches. This Cadre Fireblade, who is down to 2 wounds, will also fall back out of combat up to 6 inches. The rest of the Tau army will remain still. Going into the shooting phase, this squad of 2 Fire Warriors fell back this turn, so they will not be able to fire. The wounded Cadre Fireblade also will not be able to fire this turn, since it fell back this turn. This squad of 10 Fire Warriors will shoot their pulse rifles in rapid fire range into the Plague Champion. 30 shots hitting on 4s, getting only 10 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on 4s, getting 5 wounds. No AP, so 5 3-up armor saves, passing 3 but failing 2. 2 5-up disgustingly resilient rolls, passing 1 but failing 1. And the Plague Champion is too far away from the Plague Surgeon to take advantage of re-rolling disgustingly resilient rolls 1, so the Plague Champion is killed off and removed. And the Plague Marine squad is wiped out. The fully healthy Cadre Fireblade, which remains still, will fire a marker light into this Plague Surgeon. 1 shot hitting on a 2, and it hits. So the Plague Surgeon will go from having 0 marker lights on it to now having 1. The Warlord Commander will fire his 2 missile pods into the Plague Surgeon. 4 shots hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s, getting all 4 hits. Strength 7 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on 3s, getting 3 wounds. Minus 2 AP thanks to an advanced targeting system, but plus 1 thanks to the crater, so 3 4-up armor saves, passing 1 and failing 2. And they are D3 damage piece, only 1 damage piece for 2 damage total, 2 5-up disgustingly resilient rolls, and failing both. So the Plague Surgeon will fall from 4 starting wounds down to 2. This Storm Surge will fire its Pulse Driver Cannon into the wounded Plague Burst Crawler Crawler, and it will fire its 2 burst cannons, 2 smart missile systems, and cluster rocket system into the Plague Surgeon. Beginning with the Pulse Driver Cannon, D6 shots, getting 4 shots. Hitting on 3s thanks to stabilizing anchors, getting 3 hits. Strength 10 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 3s, getting 2 wounds. Minus 4 AP thanks to an advanced targeting system, so 2 5-up invulnerable saves and failing both. D6 damage apiece, for a total of only 3 damage, and 3 5-up disgustingly resilient rolls, passing 1 and failing 2. So this Plague Burst Crawler will fall from 3 wounds down to 1 left and is still alive. 8 shots from the 2 burst cannons into the Plague Surgeon, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 6 hits and 1 reroll, and here's the reroll, getting 7 hits total. Strength 5 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on 4s, and that's pretty awful. Getting 1 wound, minus 1 AP but plus 1 thanks to the crater, so 1 3-up armor save, which fails. So 1 5-up disgustingly resilient roll, which also fails. So the Plague Surgeon will fall from 2 wounds down to 1 left. Now 8 shots from the 2 smart missile systems, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 5 hits and 2 rerolls. And here's the rerolls. Getting 1 additional hit for 6 hits total. Strength 5 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on 4s, getting 3 wounds, minus 1 AP, and this weapon ignores cover saves. So 3 4-up armor saves, passing 2 but failing 1. So 1 5-up disgustingly resilient roll, which passes. So now the 4d6 shots from the cluster rocket system, getting 13 shots, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 6 hits and 4 rerolls. And here's the rerolls. Getting 2 additional hits for 8 hits total. Strength 5 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on 4s, getting 7 wounds, minus 1 AP but plus 1 thanks to the crater, so 7 3-up armor saves, passing 5 and failing 2. 2 5-up disgustingly resilient rolls, passing 1 and failing 1. So the Plague Surgeon will lose its final wound and be killed off. Finally, the second Storm Surge will fire its Pulse Driver Cannon, Cluster Rocket System, and 2 Smart Missile Systems into the wounded Plague Burst Crawler. Beginning with the Pulse Driver Cannon, D6 shots, getting 3 shots. Hitting on 3s, getting 3 hits. Strength 10 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 3s, getting 2 wounds. Minus 4 AP thanks to the advanced targeting system, so 2 5-up invulnerable saves, and failing both. And they will do D6 damage, getting 11 damage total. 11 5-up disgustingly resilient rolls, passing 5 but failing 6. And that will definitely finish off the final wound on that Plague Burst Crawler. So does it explode on a 6? And it will not. So the Plague Burst Crawler will lose its final wound and be removed. And the Cluster Rocket System and 2 Smart Missile Systems will go to waste. Going into the Assault phase, there are no charges to declare, which means going into the Fight phase, there are no fights to resolve, and going into the Morale phase, there are no morale tests to take. And so taking a look at the tactical objective cards, the Tau Empire failed to complete Kingslayer. They failed to complete Secure Objective 5. However, thanks to killing off the Plague Champion, they did successfully complete the Lure for 1 victory point. And thanks to killing the Plague Surgeon, the Tau Empire did successfully complete Assassinate for 1 victory point. And because that is an Annihilation tactical objective type, which is the tactical priority for the Tau Empire, just like Purge is for the Death Guard, the Tau Empire will achieve 1 additional victory point for Assassinate. And at this point, they will throw Secure Objective 5 away. And so at the end of Tau Empire turn 4, the score currently sits at 5 victory points for the Tau Empire and 5 victory points for the Death Guard. Going into Death Guard turn 4, a reminder that the Death Guard have 0 command points available, and the Tau Empire also have 0 command points available. At the start of the turn, a reminder that the Death Guard held on to the tactical objective cards Kingslayer and Blood and Guts from the previous turn, and so they drew 2 new ones, and they drew Advance, score 1 victory point if no unit from your army is within your deployment zone at the end of your turn, and Supremacy, score D3 victory points if you control any 3 objective markers at the end of your turn. Going into the movement phase, the Death Guard are going to do something potentially risky in order to try to reclaim the lead for at least a turn, so we will begin in the movement phase with this Plague Burst Crawler, which will move up to 9 inches, and it will also declare an advance. And here's the advance roll, rolling 3 additional inches, and so the Plague Burst Crawler will move up to 12 inches. and the Plague Burst Crawler is now fully outside of the Death Guard deployment zone. Now the Warlord Demon Prince of Nurgle will move up to 8 inches, and he will also declare an advance. And here's the advance roll, rolling just 1 additional inch. So the Warlord Demon Prince of Nurgle will move up to 9 inches. And now the Warlord Demon Prince of Nurgle is also fully outside of the Death Guard deployment zone. Going into the Psychic phase, the Warlord Demon Prince of Nurgle will attempt to manifest Miasma of Pestilence onto the fully healthy Plague Burst Crawler. So Miasma of Pestilence has a warp charge value of 6. And it passes with a 10. Going into the shooting phase, the Plague Burst Crawler advanced, so it cannot shoot this turn, which means going into the assault phase, there are no charges to declare. Going into the fight phase, there are no fights to resolve. And finally, going into the morale phase, there are no morale checks to take. And so taking a look at the tactical objective cards, the Death Guard failed to complete Kingslayer, they failed to complete Blood and Guts, they did successfully complete Advance for 1 victory point, and they failed to complete Supremacy, and at this point they will throw Supremacy away. And so at the end of Death Guard turn 4, the score currently sits at 6 victory points for the Death Guard and 5 victory points for the Tau Empire. Going into Tau Empire turn 5, a reminder that the Tau Empire have 0 command points available, and the Death Guard also have 0 command points available. At the beginning of the turn, a reminder that the Tau Empire held on to the tactical objective card Kingslayer from the previous turn, and so the Tau Empire drew 4 new tactical objective cards, and they drew Psychological Warfare. Score 1 victory point if your opponent failed a morale test during this turn. If your opponent failed 3 or more morale tests, score D3 victory points instead. Area Denial, score 1 victory point if there are no enemy models within 6 inches of the center of the battlefield at the end of your turn. If there are no enemy models within 12 inches of the center of the battlefield at the end of your turn, score D3 victory points instead. Defend Objective 4, score 2 victory points if you control Objective Marker 4 at the end of 2 consecutive turns. And finally, Orders Received. When this tactical objective is generated, immediately generate a bonus tactical objective. This does not count toward the number of active tactical objectives you currently have in play. Your Warlord is the only unit that can be used to achieve the bonus tactical objective. They must be the only unit used to control an objective marker, the unit that destroys the last model in an enemy unit, and so on. If you achieve this, you score both the number of victory points stated on the bonus tactical objective and an additional 3 victory points. If this tactical objective is discarded, so too is the bonus tactical objective. And the bonus tactical objective is Tactical Withdrawal. Score 1 victory point if at least 1 enemy unit is destroyed in the shooting phase that was within 1 inch of any of your units at the start of the turn. And Objective Marker 4 is this one right here, currently not being controlled by anyone. And so going into the movement phase, the entire Tau Empire army will remain still. So going into the shooting phase, we will begin with the wounded Cadre Fireblade, who will fire a Marker Light into the Plague Burst Crawler. 1 shot hitting on a 3 thanks to Miasma of Pestilence, and it will hit. So the Plague Burst Crawler will go from having 0 marker lights on it to now having 1. This Storm Surge will fire its Pulse Driver Cannon, Cluster Rocket System, and 2 Smart Missile Systems into the Plague Burst Crawler. Beginning with the Pulse Driver Cannon, which has D6 shots, getting 4 shots. Hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, getting 2 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting 3 hits. Strength 10 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 3s, getting 2 wounds. Minus 4 AP thanks to the Advanced Targeting System, so 2 5-up invulnerable saves, passing 1 and failing 1. And it will do D6 damage, and it will do 3 damage. 3 5-up Disgustingly Resilient rolls, passing 1 and failing 2. So the Plague Burst Crawler will go from having 12 starting wounds down to 10. 8 shots from the 2 Smart Missile Systems, hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, getting 5 hits and 2 rerolls. And here's the 2 rerolls, getting no more hits, so only 5 hits total. Strength 5 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 5s, getting 3 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 3 4-up armor saves, passing 2 and failing 1. 1 5-up Disgustingly Resilient roll, which passes. 4 D6 shots from the Cluster Rocket System, getting 14 shots. Hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, getting 6 hits and 2 rerolls. And here's the 2 rerolls, getting 2 more hits for 8 hits total. Strength 5 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 5s, getting 5 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 5 4-up armor saves, passing 1 and failing 4. 4 5-up Disgustingly Resilient rolls, rerolls, and failing all 4. So the Plague Burst Crawler will fall from 10 wounds down to 6. Now the second Storm Surge will fire its Pulse Driver Cannon, Cluster Rocket System, and 2 Smart Missile Systems into this Plague Burst Crawler. Beginning with the Pulse Driver Cannon, D6 shots, getting 2 shots. Hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, getting 1 hit. Strength 10 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on a 3, and it fails to wound. 8 shots from the 2 Smart Missile Systems, hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, getting 4 hits and 3 rerolls. And here's the rerolls, getting 1 additional hit for 5 hits total. Strength 5 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 5s, getting 2 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 2 4-up armor saves, passing both. 4 D6 shots from the Cluster Rocket System, getting 17 shots. On 4s, rerolling 1s, getting 5 hits and 4 rerolls. And here's the rerolls, getting 7 hits total. Strength 5 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 5s, getting 3 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 3 4-up armor saves, passing 2 and failing 1. And 1 5-up Disgustingly Resilient roll, which passes. Next, this squad of 2 Fire Warriors will shoot their Pulse Rifles at full range into the Plague Burst Crawler. 2 shots, hitting on 5s, rerolling 1s, getting 2 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 5s, getting 2 wounds. No AP, so 2 3-up armor saves, passing 1 and failing 1. And 1 5-up Disgustingly Resilient roll, which passes. Now this squad of 10 Fire Warriors will shoot their Pulse Rifles at full range into the Plague Burst Crawler. 10 shots total, hitting on 5s, rerolling 1s, and that's a cocked dice, so here's the cocked dice. Getting 4 hits and 1 reroll, and here's the reroll. Getting 5 hits total. Strength 5 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 5s, getting 1 wound. No AP, so 1 3-up armor save, which passes. The fully healthy Cadre Fireblade will fire his Pulse Rifle at full range into the Plague Burst Crawler. 1 shot, hitting on 3, rerolling 1s, getting a hit. Strength 5 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on a 5, and it fails to wound. Finally, the Warlord Commander will fire his 2 missile pods into the Plague Burst Crawler. 4 shots, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 3 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting a 4th hit. Strength 7 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 5s, and failing to wound. So going into the assault phase, there are no charges to declare, which means going into the fight phase, there are no fights to resolve, and going into the morale phase, there are no morale checks to take. And so taking a look at the tactical objective cards, the Tau Empire failed to complete Kingslayer, they failed to complete Psychological Warfare. They did, however, successfully complete Area Denial for 1 victory point, because neither the Warlord Demon Prince of Nurgle or the Plague Burst Crawler are within 6 inches of the center of the battlefield, so they will get 1 victory point for that. The Tau Empire failed to begin to defend Objective 4, and they failed to complete Orders Received, Bonus Tactical Objective, Tactical Withdrawal. And at this point, they will throw Orders Received, Bonus Tactical Objective, Tactical Withdrawal away. And so at the end of Tau Empire Turn 5, the score currently sits at 6 victory points for the Tau Empire and 6 victory points for the Death Guard. Going into Death Guard Turn 5, a reminder that the Death Guard have 0 command points available, and the Tau Empire also have 0 command points available. At the beginning of the turn, a reminder that the Death Guard held on to the tactical objective cards Kingslayer and Blood and Guts from the previous turn, and so the Death Guard drew 3 new tactical objective cards, and they drew Hold the Line, score 1 victory point if you have at least 3 units completely within your deployment zone, and your opponent has no models within your deployment zone at the end of your turn. This objective cannot be achieved on your first turn. Secure Objective 2, score 1 victory point if you control Objective Marker 2 at the end of your turn, and Defend Objective 1, score 2 victory points if you control Objective Marker 1 at the end of 2 consecutive turns. And Objective Marker 2 is this one right here, currently not being controlled by anyone, but it is within the Tau deployment zone. And Objective Marker 1 is this one right here, and it is currently being controlled by Tau forces. Going into the movement phase, this Plague Burst Crawler is going to move up to 9 inches, and it will also declare an advance. And here's the advance roll, rolling 3 additional inches, so the Plague Burst Crawler will move up to 12 inches. The Warlord Demon Prince of Nurgle will move up to 8 inches and will also declare an advance. And here's the advance roll, rolling 5 additional inches. So the Warlord Demon Prince of Nurgle will move up to 13 inches. Going into the Psychic phase, the Warlord Demon Prince of Nurgle will attempt to manifest Miasma of Pestilence onto the Plague Burst Crawler. And Miasma of Pestilence has a warp charge value of 6, and it will fail with a 3. Going into the Shooting phase, because the Plague Burst Crawler advanced, it is unable to shoot. And so going into the Assault phase, there are no charges to declare, which means going into the Fight phase, there are no fights to resolve, and going into the Morale phase, there are no morale checks to take. And so taking a quick look at the tactical objective cards, the Death Guard failed to complete Kingslayer, they failed to complete Blood and Guts, they failed to complete Hold the Line, the Death Guard failed to complete Secure Objective 2, and they also failed to complete Defend Objective 1. And at this point, they will throw Hold the Line away. And so at the end of Death Guard turn 5, the score currently sits at 6 victory points for the Death Guard and 6 victory points for the Tau Empire. And so we will now roll to see if the game will continue. Now that Battle Round 5 is over, on a 1 or a 2 the game will end, and on a 3 up the game will continue. Rolling a 6, so the game will continue. Let's move on into Tau Empire turn 6. Going into Tau Empire turn 6, a reminder that the Tau Empire have 0 command points available, and the Death Guard also have 0 command points available. At the beginning of the turn, a reminder that the Tau Empire are holding on to the tactical objective cards Kingslayer, Psychological Warfare, and Defend Objective 4. And so the Tau Empire drew 3 new tactical objective cards, and they drew Domination, score D3 plus 3 victory points if you control every objective marker on the battlefield at the end of your turn. Scour the Skies, score 1 victory point if at least 1 enemy unit that can fly was destroyed during this turn. And Advance, score 1 victory point if no unit from your army is within your deployment zone at the end of your turn. Going into the movement phase, the entire Tau Empire army will remain still. Going into the shooting phase, we will begin with the Wounded Cadre Fireblade, which will fire a Marker Light into the Plague Burst Crawler. 1 shot hitting on a 2, and it hits. So the Plague Burst Crawler will go from having 0 marker lights on it to now having 1. This Storm Surge will fire its Pulse Driver Cannon, Cluster Rocket System, 2 Burst Cannons, and 2 Smart Missile Systems into the Wounded Plague Burst Crawler. Beginning with the Pulse Driver Cannon, D6 shots, getting 3 shots. Hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 2 hits and a reroll. And here's the reroll, still failing to hit, so 2 hits total. Strength 10 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 3s, getting 2 wounds. Minus 4 AP thanks to an advanced targeting system, so 2 5-up and vulnerable saves, passing 1 and failing 1. And it will do D6 damage, and it will do 2 damage. 2 5-up disgustingly resilient rolls, passing 1 and failing 1. So the Plague Burst Crawler will fall from 6 wounds down to 5. 8 shots from the 2 burst cannons, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 5 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, still failing to hit, so 5 hits total. Strength 5 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 5s. Getting 3 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 3 4-up armor saves. Failing all 3. 3 5-up disgustingly resilient rolls, passing 1 and failing 2. So the Plague Burst Crawler will fall from 5 wounds down to 3. 8 shots from the 2 Smart Missile Systems, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 5 hits and 2 rerolls. And here's the 2 rerolls. I guess technically that dice is flat, so I guess we'll count it. Getting 7 hits total. Strength 5 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 5s. Getting 3 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 3 4-up armor saves, passing 1 and failing 2. 2 5-up disgustingly resilient rolls, and failing both. So the Plague Burst Crawler will fall from 3 wounds down to 1 left. 4 D6 shots from the Cluster Rocket System, getting 18 shots. Hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s. Getting 10 hits and 3 rerolls. And here's the rerolls, getting 13 hits total. Strength 5 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 5s. Getting 6 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 6 4-up armor saves. Passing 2 but failing 4. 4 5-up disgustingly resilient rolls, and failing all 4. So that will definitely finish off the Plague Burst Crawler, and does it explode on a 6? And it will not. So the Plague Burst Crawler will lose its last wound and be removed. And so now the fully healthy Cadre Fireblade will fire a Marker Light into the Warlord Demon Prince of Nurgle, which is the final Death Guard unit alive on the table. 1 shot hitting on a 2, and it fails to hit. No rerolls. The second Storm Surge will fire its Pulse Driver Cannon, Cluster Rocket System, and 2 Smart Missile Systems into the Warlord Demon Prince of Nurgle. The burst cannons cannot be fired because the Demon Prince is just over 18 inches away. So beginning with the Pulse Driver Cannon, D6 shots, getting 1 shot, hitting on a 3, and it hits. Strength 10 versus toughness 6 means wounding on a 3, and it fails to wound. 8 shots from the 2 smart missile systems, hitting on 3s, getting 5 hits. Strength 5 versus toughness 6 means wounding on 5s, getting 4 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 4 up armor saves, passing 3 and failing 1. 1 5 up disgustingly resilient roll, which fails. So the Demon Prince will fall from 8 starting wounds down to 7. 4 D6 shots from the cluster rocket system, getting 20 shots. 20 shots hitting on 3s, getting 15 hits. Strength 5 versus toughness 6 means wounding on 5s, getting 5 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 4 up armor saves, passing 4 and failing 1. 1 5 up disgustingly resilient roll, which fails. So the Warlord Demon Prince Nurgle will fall from 7 wounds down to 6. The Warlord Commander will fire his 2 missile pods into the Warlord Demon Prince Nurgle. 4 shots, hitting on 2s, getting 4 hits. Strength 7 versus toughness 6 means wounding on 3s, getting 3 wounds. Minus 2 AP thanks to an advanced targeting system, so 5 up invulnerable saves, passing 1 and failing 2. But they are D3 damage apiece, getting a 1 and a 2 for 3 damage total. 5 up disgustingly resilient rolls, and passing all 3. This squad of 2 fire warriors will fire their pulse rifles in rapid fire range into the Warlord Demon Prince Nurgle. 6 shots total thanks to being near a Cadre Fireblade, hitting on 4s, getting 4 hits. Strength 5 versus toughness 6 means wounding on 5s and failing to wound. So finally, the squad of 10 fire warriors will fire their pulse rifles into the Warlord Demon Prince Nurgle. 3 of the 10 fire warriors are not in rapid fire range, but 7 of them are, so all in total it will be 24 shots, hitting on 4s, getting 12 hits. Strength 5 versus toughness 6 means wounding on 5s, getting 5 wounds. No AP, so 3 up armor saves, passing 4 and failing 1, and 1 5 up disgustingly resilient roll, which passes. And so going into the assault phase, there are no charges to declare, which means going into the fight phase, there are no fights to resolve, and going into the morale phase, there are no morale checks to take. And so taking a look at the tactical objective cards, the Tau Empire failed to complete Kingslayer, they failed to complete Psychological Warfare, they failed to complete Defend Objective 4, they failed to complete Domination, they failed to complete Scour the Skies, and they failed to complete Advance. And at this point, they will throw Psychological Warfare away. And so at the end of Tau Empire Turn 6, the score currently sits at 6 victory points for the Tau Empire and 6 victory points for the Death Guard. Going into Death Guard Turn 6, a reminder that the Death Guard have 0 command points available, and the Tau Empire also have 0 command points available. At the beginning of the turn, a reminder that the Death Guard held on to the tactical objective cards Kingslayer, Blood and Guts, Secure Objective 2, and Defend Objective 1 from the previous turn, and so they drew 2 new tactical objective cards, and they drew Death March. Score 1 victory point if at least 3 friendly Death Guard infantry units are completely within your opponent's half of the battlefield, and Assassinate. Score 1 victory point if at least 1 enemy character was destroyed during this turn. If 3 or more enemy characters were destroyed during this turn, score D3 victory points instead. And so going into the movement phase, the Death Guard have a very interesting problem, because all they have left is their Warlord, the Demon Prince Nurgle, who has 6 wounds left. And the issue is, the score is currently tied at 6 apiece. However, the Death Guard have achieved more tactical objective cards of their tactical priority than the Tau have, which means that if the game were to end right now, the Death Guard would actually win, which means all they need to do is stay alive and have the game end. However, at the end of this particular player turn, when we roll a dice to determine whether or not the game continues, it could very well continue again into turn 7. And most likely, if the game were to continue into turn 7, regardless of what the Death Guard do in this turn, they will probably be tabled. So because of that, the Death Guard are going to use this turn to simply try to stay alive. And because of that, I will let you know ahead of time, they will not be charging into the Cadre Fireblades, which are sitting right there, right over here, which would of course achieve multiple tactical objective cards such as Blood and Guts and Assassinate. However, like I said, if the game were to end right now, the Death Guard would win. And so the Warlord, Demon Prince Nurgle, is going to move up to 8 inches, and he will also declare an advance. And here's the advance roll, rolling 1 additional inch. So the Warlord, Demon Prince Nurgle will move up to 9 inches. And he is now technically within the Tau Empire deployment zone. So if he is not killed off, the Death Guard will achieve Linebreaker. So moving into the Psychic phase, the Warlord Demon Prince Nurgle will attempt to manifest Miasma of Pestilence onto himself. And Miasma of Pestilence has warp card value of 6, and it will pass with the 9. So going into the shooting phase, the Warlord Demon Prince Nurgle is unable to fire. Going into the assault phase, there are no charges to declare. Going into the fight phase, there are no fights to resolve. Going into the morale phase, there are no morale checks to take. And so taking a look at the tactical objective cards, the Death Guard failed to complete Kingslayer, they failed to complete Blood and Guts, they failed to complete Secure Objective 2, they failed to complete Defend Objective 1, they failed to complete Death March, and they failed to complete Assassinate. And at this point, they will throw Death March away. And so at the end of Death Guard turn 6, the score currently sits at 6 victory points for the Death Guard and 6 victory points for the Tau Empire. And so once again, we need to roll a dice to see if the game will continue. Because it's the end of battle round 6, on a roll of a 1, 2, or a 3, the game will end, and on a roll of a 4, 5, or 6, the game will continue. And so here's the roll, and rolling a 6. So once again, the game will continue. So let's move into Tau Empire, turn 7. Going into Tau Empire, turn 7, a reminder that the Tau Empire have 0 command points available, and the Death Guard also have 0 command points available. At the beginning of the turn, a reminder that the Tau Empire are holding onto the tactical objective cards Kingslayer, Defend Objective 4, Domination, Scour the Skies, and Advance from the previous turn. And so the Tau Empire drew 2 new tactical objective cards to bring them up to a total of 7, and they drew no prisoners, score 1 victory point if an enemy unit was destroyed during your turn. If between 3 and 5 enemy units were destroyed during your turn, score D3 victory points instead. And if 6 or more enemy units were destroyed during your turn, score D3 plus 3 victory points instead. And Blood and Guts, score 1 victory point if an enemy unit was destroyed during the fight phase this turn. If 3 or more enemy units were destroyed during the fight phase this turn, score D3 victory points instead. And Objective Marker 4 is this one right here, currently not being held by anyone. And so going into the movement phase, this is going to be pretty simple. The entire Tau army will remain still. And so going into the shooting phase, we will begin with the Wounded Cadre Fireblade, which will fire a marker light into the Warlord Demon Prince Nurgle. One shot hitting on a 3, and it hits. So the Warlord Demon Prince Nurgle will go from having 0 marker lights on him to now having 1. Now the fully healthy Cadre Fireblade will fire his pulse rifle into the Warlord Demon Prince Nurgle. 3 shots in rapid fire range, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 3 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on 5s, and failing to wound. The squad of 2 fire warriors will shoot their pulse rifles in rapid fire range into the Demon Prince of Nurgle. 6 shots, hitting on 5s, rerolling 1s, getting 3 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting a 4th hit. Strength 5 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on 5s, and all fail to wound. This squad of 10 fire warriors will shoot their pulse rifles in rapid fire range into the Warlord Demon Prince Nurgle. 30 shots, hitting on 5s, rerolling 1s, getting 13 hits and 2 rerolls. And here's the 2 rerolls, failing to get more hits, so 13 hits total. Strength 5 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on 5s, getting 5 wounds. No AP, so 5 3-up armor saves, passing 3 and failing 2. 2 5-up disgustingly resilient rolls, failing both. So the Warlord Demon Prince Nurgle will fall from 6 wounds down to 4. The Warlord Commander will fire his 2 missile pods into the Warlord Demon Prince Nurgle. 4 shots hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 4 hits. Strength 7 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on 3s, getting 3 wounds. Minus 2 AP thanks to an advanced targeting system, so 3 5-up invulnerable saves, passing 2 and failing 1. And it will do D3 damage, and it will do 2 damage. 2 5-up disgustingly resilient rolls, failing both. So the Warlord Demon Prince Nurgle will fall from 4 wounds down to 2 left. This Storm Surge will fire its Pulse Driver Cannon, Cluster Rocket System, 2 Smart Missile Systems, and 2 Burst Cannons into the Warlord Demon Prince Nurgle. Beginning with the Pulse Driver Cannon, D6 shots, getting 2 shots. Hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, getting a reroll and a cocked dice. So here's the cocked dice, and both will roll 1s, so both will be rerolled. And here's the rerolls, getting 1 hit. Strength 10 versus toughness 6 means wounding on a 3, and it wounds. Minus 4 AP thanks to an advanced targeting system, so 1 5-up invulnerable save, which passes. 8 shots from the 2 burst cannons, hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, getting 4 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, still failing to hit, so 4 hits total. Strength 5 versus toughness 6 means wounding on 5s. Getting 2 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 2 4-up armor saves. Passing 1 and failing 1. 1 5-up disgustingly resilient roll, which passes. 8 shots from the 2 smart missile systems, hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s. Getting 3 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting a 4th hit. Strength 5 versus toughness 6 means wounding on 5s. Getting 2 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 2 4-up armor saves, and passing both. 4 D6 shots from the cluster rocket system, getting 12 shots. Hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, getting 2 hits and 3 rerolls. And here's the rerolls, getting 2 additional hits for 4 hits total. Strength 5 versus toughness 6 means wounding on 5s. Getting 2 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 2 4-up armor saves, passing 1 and failing 1. 1 5-up disgustingly resilient roll, which fails. So the Demon Prince will fall from 2 wounds down to 1 left. And so the second Storm Surge will fire its Pulse Driver Cannon, Cluster Rocket System, 2 Burst Cannons, and 2 Smart Missile Systems into the Warlord Demon Prince of Nurgle. Can an entire Storm Surge finish off a single wound? Beginning with the Pulse Driver Cannon, D6 shots, getting 4 shots. Hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, getting 2 hits and 2 rerolls. And here's the rerolls, getting 1 additional hit for 3 hits total. Strength 10 versus toughness 6 means wounding on 3s, getting 2 wounds. Minus 4 AP thanks to an advanced targeting system, so 2 5-up invulnerable saves, passing 1 and failing 1. And it will do D6 damage, and it will do 2 damage. 2 5-up disgustingly resilient rolls, and failing both. And so that will finish off the final wound on the Warlord Demon Prince of Nurgle. And so the Cluster Rocket System, 2 Burst Cannons, and 2 Smart Missile Systems will go to waste. And this means, of course, that the Death Guard have been tabled. And so the game is now over. And so taking a look at the tactical objective cards, the Tau Empire did successfully complete Kingslayer, and so they will get D3 victory points for that. And so here's the victory point roll, and they will get 2 victory points. And of course, Kingslayer is an Annihilation tactical objective type, so they will get 1 additional victory point for completing that. The Tau Empire failed to complete Defend Objective 4, they failed to complete Domination, they failed to complete Scour the Skies, they failed to complete Advance. They did, however, successfully complete No Prisoners for 1 victory point, and they failed to complete Blood and Guts. And at this point, not that it really matters, they will throw Domination away. Neither side will achieve Linebreaker, but the Tau Empire will achieve Slay the Warlord. And now that the game is over, both sides successfully completed 2 tactical objective cards of their tactical priority. So we have a tie from that, which means that no extra victory points will be given out, because if one side had completed more than the other, they would have received an additional victory point. And so at the end of the game, we have a final score of 6 victory points for the Death Guard and 11 victory points for the Tau Empire, with a major victory for the Tau Empire through tabling in Tau Empire Turn 7. And so now that the game is officially over, I can go over 1 or 2 of my final thoughts on this particular game. And there's not really a whole lot to talk about because, after all, the Death Guard were tabled. So, decisive victory for the Tau Empire. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I will say that I think this is probably the closest game of Warhammer 40k 8th edition I've ever played, considering that literally if the Tau did not table the Death Guard would automatically win. And the fact that it came down to the final Storm Surge, who was the final unit that needed to fire. I think it's unfortunate for the Death Guard that the Demon Prince was down to only 1 wound before that final Storm Surge fired. Had the Demon Prince had 3 wounds left, he might have survived. I also think it's incredibly unfortunate for the Death Guard that the game could have ended twice and didn't, and that's pretty much what cost the Death Guard the game, was the fact that the dice decided the game would continue, and not just once but twice. Looking back at it now, with the tactical objective cards that the Tau Empire drew at the end of the game, I wish that I had kept the Death Guard back at their deployment zone after moving out of it to achieve advance. I wish I hadn't made the second movement up the field to give the Plague Burst Crawler a chance to shoot. And while I'm pretty sure that had I shot at the Storm Surges, they just would have ignored it with their 4-up invulns, because that seems to be what they always do in all the other games. They potentially could have killed off some Fire Warriors, and also they could have kept the distance in between themselves and the Fire Warriors so that they wouldn't have been able to get 3 shots in rapid fire range instead of just 1 at full range. And that potentially could have made a difference in the end. Also, staying further back would potentially have kept the Demon Prince out of range of the smart missile systems, so that then the Demon Prince would have only had to worry about the cluster rocket systems and the pulse driver cannons from the Storm Surges. I just want to point out the fact that the Death Guard almost won this game doing 0 damage to both Storm Surges, and not only doing 0 damage to both Storm Surges, but not even shooting at them. Not even shooting at them once. Literally all they did the entire game was shoot at Pathfinders, Fire Warriors, and 1 of the Cadre Fireblades, and that was it, and they almost won the game, even with the Tau stealing the initiative and blowing up the Chaos Land Raider turn 1. I think partially that shows just how reliant the Tau are on the marker lights to really get their firepower going. You know, once they lost their big blobs of marker lights, they did not do nearly as much damage as they did turn 1. And so really that's about it for my rambling. As I said before, the game kind of speaks for itself. I really hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.